I never imagined my life would twist into something so dark, so full of secrets that even the walls of my new home seemed to whisper. The day I entered my husband's house as a bride, I thought I was stepping into a future of love, respect, and family bonds. The wedding was beautiful, filled with lights, music, and smiling faces. But sometimes smiles hide knives, and behind curtains of joy, shadows grow silently, waiting for the right time to reveal themselves. From the very first night, I noticed things most brides would ignore. The silence in certain corners of the house was heavier than usual. The eyes of some family members lingered too long, scanning me, as though I was not a daughter-in-law but a stranger invading their guarded territory. My husband, Arav, seemed genuinely happy to have me by his side. He was soft-spoken, kind, and hopeful. But the family, that was another story. At first, I dismissed the uneasiness. New homes come with new challenges, I told myself. Adjusting takes time. So I cooked with my mother-in-law, listened to my father-in-law's stories of his youth, and tried to bond with my sister-in-law, Ria, but something was off. The laughter in the dining room often sounded forced. The way conversations ended abruptly when I walked in didn't feel like coincidence. And sometimes when I entered a room, I swore I heard whispers die out in the air, like secrets choking themselves before I could catch them. The more I tried to settle in, the more I sensed the invisible wall around me. Arav brushed it off when I mentioned it. "They'll get used to you," he said with a smile. "Give them time." His words were sweet, but his eyes told a different story, one of denial, maybe fear. He wanted everything to be normal, but he knew deep down it, WAs and single quotes too, days turned into weeks, and I began to observe patterns. My mother-in-law would disappear into her room at odd hours with her phone, whispering intensely. My father-in-law kept a lockjaw in his study, and every time he came out, his hands shook slightly, though he quickly masked it with a cough. And Ria, the sister-in-law who should have been my friend, treated me with an odd mixture of false kindness and sharp mockery. She smiled at me when Arav was around, but rolled her eyes and muttered cruel remarks under her breath when no one else could hear. I told myself not to be paranoid. But then I began hearing things. One night, while passing by the living room, I caught fragments of a conversation. "She doesn't know anything yet," someone whispered. My heart froze. Who were they talking about? Was it me? I leaned closer, but the voices faded. When I entered, the room was empty, only the soft ticking of the clock echoing in the silence. It might have been easier to ignore it all, to live blindly, but something inside me refused. I had grown up with values of honesty and fairness. If something was wrong, I couldn't just look away. So I started watching more carefully, listening more attentively. My instincts told me this family was hiding something big, and they never expected me to notice. But I did. The first real crack in their mask appeared during a family dinner. We were all seated, eating in silence, when Arav's father received a phone call. His face drained of color as he listened. Then he excused himself abruptly, leaving his food untouched. My mother-in-law followed soon after, glancing nervously at me before disappearing into the hallway. Ria smirked and whispered, "Looks like the show's starting again." She didn't mean for me to hear it, but I did. And it only fueled my determination to find out what was really happening in this house. From that night, my role as the quiet daughter-in-law shifted into something else. I became an observer, a listener, and slowly, a planner. If there was a secret buried in this family, I was going to unearth it, no matter how deep they tried to hide it. The turning point came when I found a piece of paper tucked inside a book in the study. It wasn't meant for me to see. The paper had a list of numbers, dates, and initials. Nothing made sense at first glance, but the urgency of the handwriting told me it mattered. I slipped it into my sari and kept it hidden. That night, as I studied it in my room, Arav walked in. I quickly hid the paper, unsure if I could trust him completely. His love was real, but his silence about the oddities in the house made me wonder if he, too, was part of the web of secrets. The days that followed tested me in ways I never imagined. I noticed my mother-in-law making late-night visits to unknown places, leaving the house quietly and returning before dawn. My father-in-law had sudden bursts of anger when anyone touched his study, and Ria. She seemed almost amused by the tension, as though she thrived in the chaos. But the real shock came when I overheard a conversation between my mother-in-law and Ria. They were in the kitchen, speaking in hushed tones, unaware that I was nearby. "If she finds out, everything will collapse," my mother-in-law said, her voice trembling. Ria replied with a cold laugh, "Then make sure she doesn't. We've covered things for years." Don't let one outsider ruin it. Those words pierced me. Outsider. That's what I was to them. Not a daughter-in-law, not family, but an intruder. My hands shook as I realized the depth of the deception around me. They were hiding something that could destroy them, and they feared me finding out. That was when I made my decision. I wasn't going to be a passive victim in this family's drama. I was going to uncover their truth, piece by piece, and expose it for what it really was. But how? I couldn't just confront them without proof. Araf wouldn't believe me. He would think I was exaggerating or misunderstanding. And if I acted too soon, they would cover their tracks. I needed a plan, careful, patient, and precise dot, so I began laying the groundwork for my secret mission. I started small, pretending to be naive while secretly taking note of every unusual thing. When my mother-in-law left the house, I tracked her timings. When my father-in-law locked himself in the study, I listened for sounds through the door. I even began earning Ria's false trust, letting her think I was harmless, just another clueless bride who could be manipulated. All the while, I kept the piece of paper hidden, studying it when I was alone. The numbers and dates had a pattern, I was sure of it, but I needed more to connect the dots. And soon more came. One morning, as I cleaned the living room, a letter slipped out from behind the sofa cushions. It was addressed to my father-in-law, with no sender's name. The letter was short but chilling. "Payment is overdue. We can't cover you forever. Fix this before it's too late." My breath caught. Payment? Cover? What were they involved in? I folded the letter quickly and tucked it away, my heart racing. If they ever discovered I had seen it, I didn't know what they would do. But now I had more pieces of the puzzle. Something financial, something dangerous. Was at play. The house no longer felt like a home, it felt like a stage. And every family member was an actor playing their role, hiding their true face behind a mask. But I was no longer just the audience. I was about to rewrite the script. My plan began with patience. I started keeping a journal of everything I saw, every strange incident, every whispered word. I created a timeline connecting the dates from the paper with the events in the house. And slowly, the picture became clearer. My in-laws weren't just hiding something trivial. They were entangled in a scandal, a network of lies and debts that had been festering for years. The more I uncovered, the more dangerous it felt. Yet, the more determined I became. They thought I was weak, too naive to suspect anything. But they underestimated me. And soon, they would learn the truth, because I wasn't just the daughter-in-law of this house. I was the storm they never saw coming. The deeper I went into their world of secrets, the heavier the air in that house became. Nights grew longer, filled with shadows that pressed against my chest as I lay awake, planning my next steps. I could no longer look at my in-laws the same way. Every smile from my mother-in-law seemed forced. Every cough from my father-in-law sounded like a cover, and every laugh from Ria echoed with something sinister beneath. I knew now that their truth was darker than I had imagined, but knowing wasn't enough. I had to prove it, and I had to protect myself while doing it. One evening, while Arav was away on a work trip, I took the risk of entering the study. My hands trembled as I picked the lock on the drawer I had seen my father-in-law guard so obsessively. It clicked open after a few tries, and inside I found stacks of files, receipts, and bank documents. My breath quickened as I sifted through them. Large sums of money had been moved secretly, some under fake names. The initials on the mysterious paper I had found weeks ago suddenly matched with names listed in those files. They weren't random at all. They were the people my father-in-law had been dealing with. Among the files, one envelope caught my eye. It contained photographs grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakable. They were of Arav's father meeting with men in hidden corners, exchanging envelopes, shaking hands under dim streetlights. My blood turned cold. This wasn't just debt. This was corruption, dirty business that stretched far outside the walls of our home. I quickly snapped photos of everything with my phone, before putting it all back exactly as I had found it. My heart pounded so loudly I was afraid it would echo through the walls. But the fear couldn't silence the fire that now burned inside me. They thought they could hide their sins forever, but I was going to bring their entire empire of lies crashing down. The next days tested my patience. I had to act normal, smile at family dinners, laugh when Rhea mocked me, and pretend to be the perfect daughter-in-law. But inside I was screaming. I wanted to confront them, to throw their truth in their faces. Yet I knew if I rushed, I could lose everything. They were too cunning, too experienced in deception. I had to be smarter, so I deepened my plan. I decided to make them trust me. I started offering to help my mother-in-law with her errands, showing interest in her activities, even complimenting her cooking more often. She softened slightly, letting her guard down. With Rhea, I pretended to admire her boldness, even laughed at her cruel jokes as though I were on her side. She began talking more freely around me, unaware that every word she uttered was being stored in my memory. Then one night, I caught her on a phone call on the balcony. "Don't worry," she whispered. "She's too naive. She won't figure it out. By the time she does, it'll be too late." I pressed myself against the wall, my fists clenched. She was talking about me. That was the moment I knew. I didn't just need to expose them. I needed to outsmart them, play their own game, and win. I began recording conversations discreetly. My phone became my weapon. Every whisper, every threatening line, every clue I captured. I saved the photos, the letter, and the recordings in multiple hidden folders, and even emailed them to myself. If anything happened to me, the truth wouldn't die with me, but secrets have a way of sniffing out danger. My mother-in-law grew suspicious one evening when she caught me near the study. Her eyes narrowed, her voice sharp. "What were you doing there?" I smiled, pretending innocence. "I was just dusting, Ma. You know how Arav hates dust?" She didn't believe me completely. I could see it in her stare. That night, I locked my room from inside. For the first time since I had entered that house, the storm was building. I could feel it, and I wasn't wrong. A week later, the family gathered in the living room after dinner. Arav's father's voice was unusually stern. "There's something we need to discuss." My heart skipped a beat. Were they onto me? He looked around at us, his gaze heavy, then finally said, "We have to be careful these days. Outsiders can't be trusted." His eyes flicked briefly toward me. My throat tightened. Arav shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Rhea smirked. My mother-in-law folded her arms. I forced myself to sit still, to appear calm. While inside I was burning, outsider. Always an outsider. That night, I made my final decision. I wasn't going to wait any longer. It was time to expose them, but fate has its own timing. Before I could act, something happened that changed everything. Arav returned from his trip and found me late at night, hunched over my phone, going through the evidence. His eyes widened. "What are you doing?" he asked. I froze. The truth dingled on my lips. For a moment, I debated lying. But then I remembered I had promised myself to be brave. "Arav," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. "Your family. They're hiding something terrible." And I found proof. At first, he didn't believe me. He accused me of misunderstanding, of being paranoid. But then I showed him the photos, the letter, the recordings. His face paled as he scrolled through the files. This can't be true," he stammered. "It is," I said softly. "And if we don't act now, we'll be destroyed along with them, for hours." We argued, cried, and finally he broke down. "I knew something was wrong," he admitted, "but I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to believe my own family could." His voice cracked. I took his hands. "Arav, we can't close our eyes anymore. We have to bring the truth out." And so, together, we planned the confrontation. The next evening, while the family sat together, I connected my phone to the TV. At first, they didn't notice. But then, the recordings began to play. My mother-in-law's voice filled the room. "If she finds out, everything will collapse." Then Ria's mocking tone. "She's too naive. By the time she does, it'll be too late." The room fell into stunned silence. My father-in-law stood up angrily, his face red. "What is this nonsense?" he shouted. I stood, my voice steady despite my shaking hands. "This is the truth. And there's more." I clicked again, and the photos of him exchanging envelopes appeared on the screen. Gasps filled the room. Arav looked at his father with tears in his eyes. "Is this who you really are?" he asked. Chaos erupted. My mother-in-law tried to snatch the phone, but Arav blocked her. Ria screamed at me, calling me a liar, but the evidence was undeniable. Every lie they had built crumbled before their eyes. For the first time, they had no words. For the first time, they were exposed. The days that followed were a blur of consequences. Relatives found out. The community whispered. The men my father-in-law had dealt with turned against him. The empire of lies collapsed, leaving them stripped of power and pride. As for me, I finally felt free. I was no longer just the daughter-in-law they dismissed as an outsider. I was the one who brought justice into the house. I had turned their whispers into screams, their secrets into shame, their lies into ruins. Arav and I moved out soon after. We began a new life away from the shadows of deceit. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. And that honesty was worth more than all the false respect that family had once demanded. Looking back, I often wonder what would have happened if I had stayed silent, if I had ignored the signs, if I had chosen comfort over truth. But then I remind myself silence allows lies to grow, and fear only feeds betrayal. I learned that sometimes justice doesn't come on its own. Sometimes you have to create it, even if it means standing alone. I wasn't just a daughter-in-law who stumbled into a family's dark truth. I was the light that exposed it, and though it nearly broke me, it also built me into someone stronger, someone braver, someone unafraid of shadows, because in the end, the truth will always rise. And when it does, no lie, no betrayal, no dark secret can bury it again.